This guy goes to Harvard. This guy's a freaking bodybuilder. Max Pankowski, welcome to Gross Potential. What did you have to do in high school to get to that standpoint? What were the sacrifices?
Well, I was volleyball varsity captain, class president for 2 years, and school-wide president for the next 2 years. I did some scientific research in my free time.
Have you been that person that's getting made fun of and someone else stuck up for you? And is that why you're so drawn to it?
That was a problem for me as well. Whenever you start a goal, you get made fun of. I've made videos saying it's cringe until it works. I think a lot about what will I regret 40, 50 years from now? What will I regret on my deathbed? What will I regret when I'm 50?
What does a full week of lifting and eating?
240 grams of protein a day. Then in terms of lifting, 5-6 days a week. Right now I'm my push-pull legs Arnold split.
Max Pankowski, welcome to Gross Potential.
What's up, Anthony? Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Absolutely. I'm fired up. I've seen this kid all over my Instagram. He had a couple of videos just blow up.
Yeah.
Like hella traction. I've started looking and I'm scrolling. This guy goes to Harvard. Okay. Very, very impressive. This guy's a freaking bodybuilder. And you should see dude, I saw your one before and after clip in the Captain America shirt.
Yes.
How many years was that taken apart? That was a crazy transformation.
Thank you. Yes, that's a 3-year transformation. I'd already been working out for a while in the before shot, just doing calisthenics, push-ups and pull-ups in my room. I got into it when I was 12 years old for my older brothers, just doing, 1,000 push-ups in my room, hundreds of pull-ups, that kind of thing. And then around 15, 14, I got into weights, and that's when that 3-year transformation took place.
Damn. I mean, respect, bro. It's a massive look. I'm
Thank you.
surprised that the shirt still fit, but it's a little bit
Yeah. Some people didn't believe it was the same shirt, but I think no, genuinely that exact same shirt.
It's a fire pick. All right, so there's a certain way that I start off every single podcast, and that first question that I have for you is this: what TV, book, or movie character do you think best resembles you?
It's a good one. I like that one a lot. TV, book, movie character. I like to see myself as Benny the Jet from The Sandlot. Um, Maybe not. I don't think I'm as good as him, but I like the idea of one, he follows his passion in everything he does. In the movie, they talk about how he lives, eats, breathes baseball, and everything else just extra. And that's what I try to do in terms of my passions. Really obsess and live, eat, breathe everything I do. And more importantly, he uses his passion to bring others up. He doesn't get insecure or jealous of others. He is a huge mentor to Smalls, and when everyone else is making fun of him, he uses his status as one of the best or most successful players to really bring others up to his level. Because, in my opinion, if you're the best at what you do and you do it purely for yourself, who cares? There's really no point, but he takes that extra step, which is what I'm trying to do, by teaching others to do the same and being a mentor to people just getting started out in what they're trying to do.
Interesting. So you said he's the guy. I mean, he could be very good at stuff, but he's always looking out for the underdog. Like
Exactly.
that still maybe getting made fun of, whatever it is.
That's right.
Have you experienced that before? Have you been that person that's getting made fun of and someone else stuck up for you? And is that why you're so drawn to this?
I can see that for sure. So a main thing I get from people, question is, how do you feel about getting judged? I want to start working out, or I want to start a page of my own. I want to start a fitness page, but I'm worried about getting judged. And that was a problem for me as well. Whenever you start a goal, you get made fun of. I've made videos saying it's cringe until it works. People always make fun of you because trying is cringe. But my older brothers, especially my older brother Mark, literally told me that speech of trying is cringe, where in this day and age, it has become a thing where just chasing your dreams, chasing your goals is seen as cringe. It's not cool to try. But ultimately, one, it's better to make it at the end of your life having chased your dreams and maybe being judged by a few people whose name you don't even remember, rather than getting to your end of your life realizing, what could I have done, what could I have been if I had chased my dreams and done what I've wanted to, instead of worrying about being judged by random people who I don't even remember. And so, yes, I would say the support from my family has been huge because my family has always supported every goal I've gone for, from Harvard to building my dream physique to building this account to everything in between. My family has always supported me, and if I have my family support, I don't worry about anyone else's judgment. So I think that's been a main thing for me, and I try to pass it on to other people through my videos, making videos like trying is cringe and it's only cringe until it works, and teaching people to not care about judgment.
Yeah, that's facts. Trying is cringe is probably the most real thing I've heard,
Yeah,
especially in high school and college.
absolutely,
You get that shit so much, and it's very, very easy to get in your head. Like,
100%.
I originally started content my freshman year of college, and I was like, man, I want to do this so bad. I feel called to it. I posted one video, and it was tough. Like, I had
Yeah,
friends filming it. Friends were laughing at me
of
every time
course.
I pull it out. They thought it was a joke. I posted one more, and then I just stopped. I quit. I'm like, dude, I just can't do it. It's not worth it. But I finally got to a point where I matured, and I'm like, I don't really care anymore. I just need to chase after my goals, visions.
That's right.
But I think the most impressive thing about your story is that you're doing it as a freshman. Like, from
Hmm.
my experience in high school, freshman, sophomore year, all you care about is fitting in. All you care about is trying to please the upperclassmen or please the girl or please the friend. And then when you get to your senior year, you're like, holy shit, I have no time left. Nothing matters. I'm going to live this out to my fullest. How did you get this mindset as a freshman coming into Harvard, a brand new school in college,
Hmm.
where typically almost everybody just cares about, I need to fit in and please other people?
Yeah, I appreciate that, and that's a good point. It is a huge thing. I think a lot of that, like I said, comes from my family, having older siblings, and just my siblings and parents being supportive in general. And it also just comes from me reflecting a lot and really telling myself, I think a lot about what will I regret 40, 50 years from now? What will I regret on my deathbed? What will I regret when I'm 50? And a lot of that is what ifs. What if I had chased that? What if I had started posting? What would have happened? So my lock screen right now says no what ifs. And that's something I've lived by for a little while. And just through reflecting on that, after I got into Harvard, I had already been wanting to start an account, and that's what I told myself. I said, if I don't start this right now and go all in, I'm going to regret it 50 years from now, wondering how far could I have gone, how many people could I have inspired and helped. And so I just decided I was going to make that sacrifice and accept that I will be judged and that it's inevitable that some people will make fun of me, but it was worth the sacrifice.
Did you have close friends that the relationship got damaged a little bit? I'm not saying completely cut off, but it's
Mhm.
like I could tell there's a little bit of tension. Did you experience that?
I think so. I think there's some relationships where there's a little bit of tension where people, when you start out, people take a few jabs at you. You know, there's jokes, there's comments, and at a certain point, you can tell when it's a joke and when it's a little bit of a jab at your ego. So, luckily, no relationships I would say have been destroyed or anything like that. But yeah, definitely, you see some true colors where people want to take a few jabs at you. But honestly, you just roll with that and kind of laugh it off and say, yeah, that's how it goes. I knew I was going to be judged. I knew this was going to happen. It is what it is. And luckily, to be clear, I've had so many super supportive friends and family that have totally been there for me from the beginning. So it's all been good.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get into Harvard. Obviously, Harvard is notoriously known for being, if not the best, one of the best academic institutions in the entire world. Bro, the
Hmm.
acceptance rate, I don't have it up right now. It's probably 4%, 6%. It's extremely impressive. What did you have to do in high school to get to that standpoint? What were the sacrifices like?
Yes, so I was extremely locked in. There are some of the more obvious ones, like being very involved in the school. I was volleyball varsity captain and president of I was class president for 2 years and school-wide president for the next 2 years.
Mm.
But more importantly, I did some scientific research in my free time. I worked with paleontologists at the Smithsonian and across the world to help discover new species of prehistoric insects. So that was a passion I chased and really got into that, got into my paleontological research, and that's what helped me stand out.
Interesting. Pale- that's like it's dinosaurs, right?
Correct. Prehistoric beetles to be exact. Yeah, for me, it was. Yeah.
What drew the interest to that?
Yeah, so um my family is really into nature. My oldest brother Mark is very much into finding snakes and other reptiles in the wild. So he has gotten me very much into nature. For example, he has taken me out to, national parks to find hellbenders and crazy, crazy rare species. So he's really gotten me into discovery and nature. And I guess one story that really encapsulates that is for years, we have gone to the Smoky Mountains, Tennessee. My dad has gone all his life, about 50 something years, and he's never seen a hellbender, which is what the state is known for. And he told my brother Mark and I that we'd be better off looking for Bigfoot. So obviously we viewed that as a challenge and said, okay, we'll find Bigfoot then. And my brother Mark and I did a ton of research going through past papers to pinpoint exactly where we'd be best able to find the hellbender. Spent the day searching, found it after a few hours. And that was when I was a freshman. So I had gotten into paleontology, which is a separate thing. But that really energized me into a love for discovery
Yeah.
and for finding something new. And that inspired me to get really into my previous interest of prehistoric beetles to the point that I was able to put myself in positions to work with paleontologists to, like I said, help discover new species and write papers, which helps that I live near DC in Maryland, so I was able to work with Smithsonian and other major museums to follow my passion.
And so, what did a day in the life in high school look like with all these sacrifices? Like, I'm remembering my high school days. Well, first of all, bro, it started at like 7 a.m. Like, you don't
Yeah,
realize how early you
for
actually got to
sure.
wake up in high school. But like, I was playing sports, I was doing all these different things. I was trying to get best grades as possible. It's like there were some days where, dude, like I had a memory on Snapchat come up the other day. It was like me 4:30 a.m. heading to the gym. And I'm like
Yeah,
up writing myself motivational messages. I remember I'd wake up 5, 4 in the morning to get up, study before class because you don't have time. Then you're doing school. I don't know. I didn't drink coffee. I don't know how I operated, but
yeah.
it's kind of funny to think about. But what did that look like for you?
Totally agree. It's definitely a grind and something I'm really proud of myself for. But wake up 7 a.m., deal with school, go straight from school to volleyball practice if it was during season, straight from volleyball practice to the gym to get my lift in, and then the rest of the day would vary between homework and my own paleontological research. So that varied depending on the project I was on or how school was going. But it would definitely be an hour or so or more of homework, as well as doing my paleontological research. So it was pretty much go go go,
Yeah.
and I definitely found time to spend time with friends and family. It wasn't the most major sacrifice. I still lived my life, but it required a lot of efficiency and staying locked in.
And so, I mean, the $1 million question that everybody wants to hear is, what scores did you have to get into Harvard?
Yeah, so my SAT was a 1580. I got a perfect math score and a 780 reading and writing. And then I took only two APs and got a 5 on both. And then I took all IBs junior and senior year. Got a 7 on the one SL that I uh, applied with. And
And
then just straight A's for my GPA.
and okay, so you never took the ACT.
Correct. No ACT.
Okay. So I think there's something, some people with standardized tests, like when you think of yourself, are you someone who is just an extremely hard worker and maybe you weren't naturally gifted with standardized testing in school, but you worked your ass off to get whatever you need to do? Were you someone who was a little naturally gifted, intelligence, genes through the family, you still worked your ass off? Like what balance were you?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. I absolutely believe it's more so the not the smartest, not the best at standardized tests naturally, but made up through pure grit and hard work. I've made a post where I mentioned that I studied for over 200 straight days for the SAT, and I get a ton of comments saying, I only studied for a week and I got a 1500. I only studied for this and got that. Like, how is that so hard for you? And it's like, well, I'm sorry, but it's not my strength. And I had to make up for that through pure volume and through pure grit. And honestly, that just makes it more rewarding in the end. So I'm totally okay with that. It may have taken me 100 times as much effort as it takes the average Harvard student, but that was a sacrifice I was willing to make up for what I'm not the most genetically gifted at. I made up through, like I said, pure grit, pure volume. So yeah, definitely that.
Respect. What about, did you apply Like, was Harvard your number one? Did you apply to other schools and have other?
Yeah, so Harvard was absolutely my number one. I imagined getting in for 6 years. It was always the number one. Harvard's Harvard. So I applied early, got into Harvard, and then canceled all my other applications and just went with that.
You said you imagined. Do you visualize?
Yes. Yes. Every night for years, I would listen to music at night and imagine the moment of getting in, imagine all the hard work paying off, imagine my family being proud of me and all this hard work paying off. And I did that for years. It was always on my mind.
How do you think that helped you?
It definitely kept me. It definitely kept me locked in. People. It reminds me to stay to the course.
Mm.
What's important now? If it's a Friday night and I could be going out and partying, I would remember that every single night, imagining how great that would feel, how great it would taste, how everything would be worth it. And that kept me locked in and kept me consistent. And it was just a nice way to end every day, reminding me what all of this is for.
Have you ever read the book Psycho Cybernetics?
I have not.
You should really read that book.
Hmm.
Fantastic book. But it was like the first time I ever uh, came across the idea of visualization and
Hmm.
like closing your eyes, putting yourself in a completely relaxed state, and like visualizing this end goal or the journey towards it, and like feeling the emotion, bro.
That's right.
Because what like I've come to understand is like perception is not reality, or like perception is reality. Whatever you
Hmm.
perceive it, or whatever you trick your mind into thinking, that actually becomes your reality. And for anybody who's listening to this, I firmly believe visualization is one of the most powerful things anybody can do to consistently get the motivation to
I
work.
absolutely agree.
It's the best thing ever. It's crazy. The tough part is this though. Like you're sitting there and it's like, I mean, we're on these things all day. The attention
Yeah,
span's cooked, and it's like, well, I really have to sit down for 5 minutes and do nothing.
that's right.
It gets a little tough. But I think when I started framing it as like an ROI, like this is going to be an ROI on my time. I think that's when I became more apt to it, and I started doing it, and I haven't stopped. It's been
I
amazing.
love that. Yeah, I definitely got to check that book out because I love that concept.
You should. Okay. So you get into Harvard, you're fired up. I saw the video with your dad.
Yeah,
That was a very cool video. But
thank
now
you.
you get to Harvard and you're a freshman and it's day one. You step foot on campus. What's going through your head?
It was surreal to be there as a student, and I had visited before, but to actually be there as a student did not feel real. Definitely a dream come true, but also more importantly, I had the mentality of what's there to be excited about? Job's not finished, you know.
Mm.
That's just the beginning. There's no finish line. Harvard's the whole point was to set me up to build a good foundation for the rest of my life. There's no finish line just at 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of something greater. That's why when I posted on my Instagram that I got into Harvard, before after thanking my family, friends, and God, I said, "We're just getting started," and I truly believe that this is just the beginning. So it was definitely partly, "Wow, I've arrived," but also, okay, you give yourself a pat on the back, but now it's time to lock back in
Mm.
and to understand that the job's not finished.
So you get there though, and day one, you are surrounded by the most competitive, driven, smart, just
Yeah.
impressive kids in the entire country. When I got to school at WashU first day, I get there, I'm looking around. First of all, I care what everybody thinks about me. Second of all, I'm nervous, and I'm nervous for school. I'm also nervous for baseball. Third of all, I have imposter syndrome. I don't belong here. I'm not smart enough to compete with these kids. I shouldn't be here. And that really actually affected me and affected my freshman year GPA 100%. Just
Mhm.
because in my head I thought I had imposter syndrome. Did you ever feel that coming in as a freshman?
Well, first of all, yeah, I'm definitely surrounded by incredible people. Everyone I meet is so down to earth, yet they casually have the most impressive, incredible accomplishments you've ever heard.
Yeah.
With that being said, I haven't really struggled with imposter syndrome because I truly believe no one's better than each other. It's just different. So I meet these incredible people and I'm so impressed by them, but I don't have this ranking of who's better, who's more successful in life. It's really just we're all different, and it's a diversity of backgrounds and interests and passions, and everybody's just followed. different paths to lead to the same area. So I believe everyone at Harvard, we all deserve to be that. We all deserve to be here. And no, I've actually succeeded in avoiding imposter syndrome, although I do see that as a major issue for a lot of people here.
Respect. What about the environment? So
Mhm.
when I'm recruiting in high school and I'm looking at schools, I'm talking to a bunch of different schools. And one of the questions I'm always asking is like is this collaborative? Is it competitive? What's the dynamics between people? Because I remember I was talking with someone and they're talking about Johns Hopkins. And they're like,
Mhm.
Johns Hopkins is the most competitive university you'll ever go to. Like there's kids that can't leave their lab station because they fear that somebody else is going to come in there and purposely screw it up so they get the poor grade. Is Harvard like that? Is it so cutthroat and competitive, or are people a little bit more on the collaborative side?
Maybe I've just been fortunate with who I've met and who I've been around, but the people I've met have been great, have been very collaborative, have very much have the mentality I have, which is we're all going to make it. We can all succeed. So again, maybe just the environments I've put myself in of being on the rugby team or going to the gym or whoever I've happened to sit with at lunch has just been fortunate for me. But I truly believe this is an incredible environment where everyone's so successful and so driven to succeed that they're not focused on putting other people down.
Hmm.
So a lot of times the people who put other people down in general in life, it comes from insecurity, and the people I've met are so driven to succeed themselves that they're not worried about what other people are doing and putting them down. It's really a we can all make it mentality among the people I've met.
Speaking about success, like how does a Harvard student define success? Is it
Yeah,
GPA? Is it job? Is it girls?
that's the question.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely varies. I think in general it's the uh, regular societal view of success, of money and status and career. But I've definitely met people who are much more on the side of success is just happiness, which is more so what I'm about.
Right.
But yeah, I think it varies. It's just in general the way society views it.
So I wonder because at my school, like I'm in the business school.
Hmm.
So I come in like I don't know what I want to do. I know I love entrepreneurship, but I have no clue what I want to do. And so I transfer in the business school, and I'm surrounded by this environment of people. And you have these kids that are going, and the school's pushing this too. It's one of two routes. Like you're going into finance, investment banking, or you're going into consulting. And success from a WashU standpoint is, man, I want to go and get that LinkedIn post. I'm so happy. Thank you so much. I'm working at BCG. I'm working at Goldman Sachs. Boom. That is the social status at our school.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to get these killer jobs. Would you say that that is what's going on at Harvard? And do you feel like maybe at some points in your head, you feel pressured to follow that crowd and maybe go down a certain path that is not truly your calling?
I think it's definitely possible that that's similar to Harvard. It's definitely a lot about it's definitely a lot about following that path, consulting and finance, like you said, and getting the top jobs. You get this top, um, you get the top post on LinkedIn. But honestly, I'm not 100% sure because I kind of stay out of all that stuff.
Hmm.
I keep to myself in terms of trying to avoid clout and whether people think of me or what other people are driving towards. They can chase their own goals, but I've never really been paying attention to that stuff. So that's all I say. If I had to guess, and based on murmurs I hear, I would agree that Harvard's similar, but I'm not really the person to ask because I'm honestly just kind of doing my own thing.
Is Harvard really as hard as people think it is?
No, Harvard's. I'm only a psych major, so it's a little bit unfair for me to say it's not that bad, compared to someone who's doing engineering or something like that. No, it's not that bad. I know some people comment saying it's crazy easy because of grade inflation. I would say that's largely because everyone at Harvard is a Harvard student, so they're going to get good grades.
Yeah.
So it's probably a little bit harder than those people think, but for the most part, no, it's not as hard as the general public might imagine.
It's such an interesting point because like when you're in high school and you're coming into college, you make it out to be this huge thing. And
Yeah.
it's a little intimidating. And if you're going to a school like Harvard or a great school, you're like, how the heck am I ever going to be able to figure it out? Like this stuff is going to be so hard.
Yeah,
You learn that it's actually it's not that hard. Like
I agree.
it's very manageable. And I can't speak from a chem major standpoint, and I can't speak from engineering. I like those kids. Those
Exactly. Yeah.
those kids are doing God's work. Like it is a lot, but there's a game to college, bro. Like once you figure out the game, and you start collaborating with people and this and that, there's many ways to squeak by. It's also, yeah, I agree. I
That's
think
totally fair.
it's good academics, but it's very manageable, and I think
Yeah.
that's an important message for younger kids to hear. All right, what about this? So I think you have a lot of people in today's day and age that want to be entrepreneurs and like yourself, and we kind of get caught up in this. Sometimes it's like a toxic hustle culture. It's like
Hmm.
you don't ever need college. Screw
Yeah.
that. You can learn everything at home. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah. I think people, especially in entrepreneurship, sphere, they're all into the get rich quick schemes of I'm gonna drop ship, I'm gonna follow this guru online, I'm gonna learn everything without college. I think the fastest way to get rich is actually the slower route of building up your skills, building your knowledge, meeting people, which for a lot of people is what college is all about, which is why I would definitely recommend college. With that being said, it's not for everyone and you can definitely succeed without it. And for some people, that is the best path. But for me, I think most people, even if you want to follow the entrepreneurial route, college is the way to go because you're sharpening your skills, you're learning your passions, you're meeting people, and you're building that foundation to then launch however you want to do entrepreneurship. But you're not trying to immediately start making money, junior year of high school by drop shipping or doing whatever else these young teenagers are doing. Um,
I've been there.
which, yeah, which obviously you can succeed with. But for the most people who want to build a full business, I would suggest fully building that foundation first in terms of something you're actually genuinely interested in
Yeah.
and then launching from there.
What's the best part about going to Harvard?
Definitely the people. Everyone you meet has a story. I love learning what their passions were in high school, what led them to Harvard, and everyone just has this incredible story that I love to learn.
Yeah, that's facts. I agree. I think the best thing about college, it's not the academics, it's the people you'll meet there.
Absolutely.
Because those relationships, first of all, it's going to give you an open mind, but it will set you up for life and it's going to make you rise to the top. Because there is always a sense of competitiveness between people, but a good type of competitiveness. All right. But anyway, walk me, dude, you're doing bodybuilding, you're studying psych at Harvard, you're on the rugby team, you're
Mhm.
running a business. Walk me through a day in the life at Harvard.
Day in the life. Yeah, it definitely varies, but let's go through it. On an average day, I'll wake up right before class, gotta get my sleep in. Start off the day with a protein.
What time do you wake up?
It depends on whatever my first class is. So if my first class is at noon, I'll honestly spend probably till 3 a.m. grinding stuff out, and then wake up at 11:30 right before class. Um, Quickly get ready, get a protein shake, get my protein in, go to class. Or if it's a 9 a.m. class, I'll go to bed way earlier and wake up at 8:30, probably 8 a.m. and go through my classes. In between classes, I like to get meals with people to meet my friends, see new people, get to know everyone. And then after my classes, usually a little bit of downtime where I can either take my nap, I can either uh, or I can get some work done on social media, I can get some homework done, I try to be productive in my little off time. Then rugby practice, and then I usually go straight from rugby practice to the gym with a friend, pound some caffeine, have the best 1.5 hours of the day, hit some crazy lifts, and then go home and lock in on work for the rest of the night. So it's pretty much a go 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 constantly, but it's a really fun go go go. I love rugby. I love lifting. I love studying at most of the time. So it's definitely all worth it.
Bro, how do you manage your time so well?
Yeah. So to manage my time, I keep a strict to do list. Every single day, I have a to do list that I really, really lock in on. It's in my notes app, really simple, just everything I need to do, set a time for each thing. And it takes a lot of practice. It's just a lot of consistency. I've been doing it for years, ever since high school. So just like any other skill, it's something you get better at. So I've gotten more and more consistent. And of course, there are bad days where I mess up and doom scroll for a few hours or lock in on one task for way too long and it ends up me not getting sleep or not spending much time on a certain tasks. So there are off days, but for the most part, it just comes down to learning the skill of sticking a to-do list and just simply having discipline.
Hmm. But okay, so for the person though that is like, yeah, like I can make a to-do list, discipline, that's great. Discipline only works for me though for when I'm motivated, and that's a week,
Mhm,
it's 2 weeks, and then it fizzles out. You've had consistent discipline for years, from my understanding.
mhm.
What keeps you so locked in with that discipline?
A lot of that is just taking a second to reflect on why you're doing this, and as you said, visualize, because you're not always going to have motivation. I've been saying this for years, is that it's not about working when you're motivated. Everyone does that. It's about having that discipline when you have zero motivation and don't have that end goal in mind and you don't think it's worth it. What I do is I quickly remind myself, right now I don't feel like it, but I know this feeling of doubt or laziness will pass, and then I'll either be glad I put this work in when it comes back, or I'm gonna be very mad at myself when it comes back and I get that random midnight motivation one night, and I'm really mad that for the last week I've slacked off. So I just quickly remind myself, I'm doing this for my future self who's looking back at me right now with the motivation that is currently lost on me, and he's either proud of me or he's disappointed. And then I just lock in, and it's again just something that takes practice. It's something that I repeatedly fail at, but over time you get better and better at it.
So I'm the same way, but there still are times where I'm just like, dude, I don't know what's going on right now. There's so much doubt and
Yeah,
uncertainty. You feel like you don't deserve what's happening. Like it's just a mind fuck. It's the worst feeling ever. And you sit in that bed and you're just like, dude, what am I doing right now? Why is it? Why am I at this point? And
absolutely.
when that happens to me, sometimes, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not. Sometimes maybe I'll lock in and be like, go for a run, and you'll get back on track. Boom. Okay, that's great. Other times, I just pull out my computer and I go on YouTube, or I'll just say, screw it, like I'm going to bed or this and that, and I can't get that discipline. Do you ever experience that, or are you all
Yeah,
about?
there's definitely off days like that where I fail, but the biggest thing is just getting right back on it. There will be off days. You're not going to be 365 days a year locked in. So yes, I do have off days like that. And my biggest advice is to have some grace with yourself, and the very next day or whenever you can lock back in and accept that you took that L, but you will lock back in. So that's only when when all else fails. So usually I'm able to lock back in, but if for whatever reason the laziness really hits, it's all about accepting that and then locking back in and not allowing that to turn into a habit.
What's the going out scene look like at Harvard?
It varies. For me as a freshman, my main going out is just going to rugby mixers. That's the main parties. So we just have mixers with other women's teams, for example. And that's honestly my favorite time to go out. It's just great to get out with the rugby guys, a great group of guys, really fun time. And that's really how I like to go out. Otherwise, I'm honestly just getting food with one or two friends at a nearby restaurant and just chopping it up for a few hours. Those are my two kind of ideal nights for going out. Different clubs throw parties. It it kind of just varies depending on what crowd you're in.
I think what everyone's curious though, like, I mean, you think of Harvard, you think kids like locked in 24/7.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Dude, kids at Harvard get lit.
No, definitely. Kids at Harvard definitely get lit sometimes. Maybe not as much as the average SEC school, but
Yeah.
there's definitely a party scene for
All right,
sure.
I got one more funny follow up question, and
Yeah.
you may not have the answer to this, but I was studying abroad, and first of all, if you ever have the chance to study abroad, I cannot recommend it enough. It's an experience that'll change your life. But I'm studying abroad, and what abroad is school's fake. All I have to do is pass my class. Great,
Yeah.
GPA doesn't transfer over, and passing a class is getting like a 40%, like an F. So I don't go to class. I'm partying every single night. We're traveling every single weekend. It was a
Yeah.
great time. But whatever. So we're in Copenhagen, and I'm with a group of kids at my school. And obviously we've all been drinking. We're having a good time. We're talking. And my drunk conversation with this kid is he's just talking about investment banking and how
Hmm.
he's going into banking and he's got this job and this and that. What do drunken conversations look like at Harvard? Are people talking school or are they talking career? or are they maybe talking what I'd be talking about, like girls and that type of stuff?
I think it's, I mean, what I've experienced is more so the normal stuff, girls, random stuff,
All right.
usual partying behavior. But, when someone's really passionate about something like banking or their career, they can definitely get going on that. So I guess it really depends on who you're with. Some people are really passionate about that type of stuff, and, full respect to them that they're so into something like that. But me personally, or the people I've experienced, I've not exactly been like that.
Okay. All right. We're locking back in. Back to serious now. So
Yeah.
we're back at college. We're at Harvard. You're studying, and the workload's definitely high. Like, how many hours of work do you think you're doing per week? Studying, homework, XYZ.
Just based on school, right?
Yeah, yeah. Just based on school.
School alone, I try to be pretty efficient, but and it definitely varies drastically. I'll do not much at all for a few weeks, then have to absolutely cram for finals. But probably average week, maybe not counting classes, just counting homework and work, probably 2-3 hours a day. That's nothing crazy. So,
Okay. Do you have like certain study tips that you use that help you stay focused?
mm, I know recall. People talk a lot about free recall is a huge one where you write down what you can remember. Um, you practice obtaining that information and retaining it, but then also taking it out of your brain. So it's really important to, if you're studying, Spanish vocab, for example, I'm in Spanish, to write down sentences using, the verbs and vocab words you need to use, and then um, remember go back to the study outline, find out what you missed on, what vocab words you forgot, and then really focus on those. So that's just a lot of repetition. I think volume is a huge one for me, where I may not have the most efficient study tips for right before an exam, but I'm going to study enough pure volume for enough hours at a time that's going to make up for it, and I'm going to really learn the content. But yeah, it's just a lot about or learning how to recall that information out of your head repeatedly over and over again.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So moving to social media, I saw one of your posts that blew up, and it was you talking in your camera and talking about for the past 4 years, you've eaten a fruitcake every
Yeah,
single time it's your birthday because you're bodybuilding and you don't want to have a actual cake. For
yeah,
2 years, X amount of time, you study for the ACT every single day, and you have people in your ears saying you're going overboard. This is unhealthy obsession. Why do you do this?
yeah,
You don't need to do it. And you say, yeah, maybe it is, but I'm obsessed and I have
yeah.
this obsession and it's applicable to every single aspect of my life. Walk me through the different stages of your life. Like, did you always have this obsessive personality, or did this kind of come about high school?
I've definitely had this obsessive mentality for a while because the eating fruit for my birthday cake actually started in sixth grade. The most recently I actually have had normal cake, but that was a 3 year period of middle school actually where I first got obsessed with working out and nutrition. So it did start that early, and that's when I was doing thousands of push-ups a day, eating fruit instead of cake, really locked in at 13, 14, 15 years old, and then right after that got into the SAT studying, which was 10th, 11th grade. So it's really always been a constant mentality I've had. It's largely something I've been born with, I guess, and it's also something that's just been instilled with me of having a family that really pushes grit and becoming the best version of yourself, taking what you've been given and making the most out of it.
Explain how your family pushes grit. I'm very curious about
Yes, definitely. So both my mom and my dad, especially my mom, really push the idea of, like I said, grit, of becoming the best version of yourself with what you've been given. You've only been given so much, and you can either, and the way I've always seen it is I can complain about my genetics or not naturally being the smartest person in the room or the most gifted athletically, whatever it is. But that's not going to get you anywhere. You're still going to have the exact same genetics after all that complaining. So the idea is you're going to make the most out of it, and no one can beat you on grit. We all have the same 24 hours, and um, you can make the most out of it regardless of the circumstances you've been given. So my family has really instilled in me the idea of constantly getting better, becoming the best version of yourself in every way. And grit is just a huge aspect of our family, and it's something that's I can owe all my success to.
Do you think that you have certain role models, or maybe there's certain public figures that have like established that mindset in you? Like I'm thinking back, and like the time that stuff really started changing for me, I've always been like working hard and stuff like that, but when it really started changing is like I got obsessed with these day in the life videos of an entrepreneur on YouTube. And there's
Mhm.
one student at UCLA. His name was Richard Yu. Fired me up, big inspiration. I loved his mindset. And then Patrick Bet David, I love his content, fires me up, gives me a great mindset. Those two people have really been transformative in my life. Do you have people like that in your life?
Yeah, so the classics, obviously David Goggins, like most gym bros, is a huge one to me. I really like his concept of just you can do so much more than you're capable of, and your brain stops you so short. And I really do believe in that. And I also like his takes on um, how struggle and sacrifice and everything that sucks is actually good for you. It's making you stronger. You don't want to embrace comfort. I'm a big fan of some of what Alex Hormozy says.
Yeah,
I like certain ideas he has in terms of do so much volume that you get lucky, essentially. That I think the exact quote is something like volume. Um, I forgot it actually, but Alex Hormozy talks a lot about how doing so much volume that you take luck out of the equation. So I like certain concepts like that. There's certain quotes and ideas I take from David Goggins and take from Hormozy. I don't agree with everything they say, but I've definitely taken a lot of quotes from them. But the main role models I have are people in my life. My siblings, my parents, my grandpa's a huge one. He was a firefighter. He grew up poor. He's had lots of struggles, but he still remains the most positive person I know. Always to this day, staying positive, working hard in whatever he does. And so he's been a huge role model to me. So I've found while I take quotes and ideas from people like Hermosi and Goggins, I take most of my inspiration from people I know personally, like my grandpa.
I love that. I love that, bro. Good for you. All right. So I think a lot of people want to know more about bodybuilding, your
Mhm.
physique. I do too. I think you shared this at the start, but let's circle back on this. How did you get into bodybuilding?
Yeah, so I was in sixth grade, and my older brothers were actually into lifting. So they were in high school, they had started getting into lifting, and I looked up to them. And I really just wanted a six pack. I was one of those kids who it all starts with, get abs in 2 weeks YouTube videos. So
Chris
seeing my
Harriet
older
did a
brothers,
good job with
what was
that.
that?
Chris Harriet. If you ever want a good ab video, look up Chris Harriet.
Got you, got you. But yeah, I'd be looking up like get abs in 1 week, whatever it is, 20-minute ab routines. I really just wanted a six pack. And I also just really looked up to my older brothers who were getting into lifting. And one day I asked my older brother Michael, I literally just texted him. I said, "How many sit-ups do I need to do a day to get a six pack by the summer?" And it was like a few months away. So that's really to show where my mind was at. And he texted me back. He said, "Come upstairs." I came upstairs. He showed me the pull-up bar. He showed me this push-up bar. He ran through what exercises I can do, everything I need to know, how abs are made largely in the kitchen, all this advice that I still use today. And that kind of clicked something in me that really locked me in, and from then on I was totally locked in. So it went from only to get a six pack to just a way of life in every way, loving every aspect of it.
So have you competed yet, or are you yet to compete?
No, I've yet to compete. I want to at some point, but right now I'm just focused on building a foundation and continuing to lift. But yeah, I would love to compete at one point.
So your physique changes over the years have been like incredible. Like
Thank you.
it's shit out of a movie. But for the average person, and for myself too, what does a full week of lifting and eating look like?
Yeah, it depends if I'm on the bulk or the cut. But no matter what, in terms of nutrition, I'm getting about a little over 1 gram of protein per pound I weigh every single day. So right now I weigh about 205, 210, and I want to get a little extra because I'm cutting. And so I'm getting about 240 grams of protein a day.
Mhm.
So that's just meat throughout the day, protein shakes throughout the day, protein bars, whatever will get you there. And that's something I've tracked since sixth grade. Just always been tracking my protein, always at least 1 gram of protein per pound I weigh every single day. And then in terms of lifting, 5, 6 days a week, right now on my push pull legs Arnold split. Um, but yeah, 5, 6 days a week, take a rest day once a week or so. And people get too caught up in getting everything exactly right and following exactly routine of whatever fitness influencer they follow. And while you should, take advice from them and learn these routines, the main thing is staying consistent in what you can stay consistent in. So whatever whatever routine works for you in your schedule, but as long as you're lifting 5, 6 days a week and getting your protein, you should be 90% there.
From like a lifting standpoint, though, how many sets and reps are you doing?
Mhm. Yeah, I'm a big fan of 2 sets to failure per exercise, 6 to 12 reps. I just find that that low volume, high intensity maximizes stimulus, that you're maximizing growth while minimizing fatigue, meaning you're able to recover well. Because as you do more sets, the fatigue increases, but then the growth starts to plateau. So if you do 10 sets, you're not going to be able of just bench press, for example, you're going to get slightly more growth, if not the same growth as 2 sets, but you're not going to be able to recover in time. So each exercise, 2 sets to failure, 2 to 3 exercises per muscle group. So for example, if I, for example, for my push day, I'll do incline Smith machine, 2 sets to failure, then a machine fly, 2 sets to failure. Now I'm good for chest. I'll hit 2 sets of single arm tricep extensions, and then 2 sets overhead extensions. Now I'm good for triceps, and then 2 sets to failure of Smith machine shoulder press, good for shoulders, and that would be my push day.
Really? You're not
I
joking.
I stick to pretty low volume, but pushing with maximum intensity and really, really pushing myself.
Wow. I'll shit. I'll have to give that a try. I'm
Yeah,
like I go there and I'm 4 sets and I try to do 8 to 12 reps. Like it's more like hypertrophy.
that's very solid. Yeah, that can definitely work too.
I think part of it too is like the more reps and sets you do, obviously you're gonna burn more calories because it's a little bit more intense.
Hmm.
Um, and like I'm focused a lot on the calorie game. Speaking about calories, when you're cutting, how much of a deficit are you in?
So I don't know my exact maintenance, but I'm currently eating about 2,400 calories a day and I'm losing weight pretty consistently. So that's what I'm doing on the cut. And it's going to change weekly. So I post weekly videos about how that's changing. But yeah, I'm currently at 2,400 calories counting. And the reason I don't know my maintenance exactly is I only count calories on the cut.
Yeah,
So on the bulk, I was just eating a ton and counting my protein, but I have no idea how many calories I was eating.
you gotta get yourself a Whoop, bro.
Uh huh.
Bodybuilding. This is amazing.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah,
good.
check that out. I've
It,
heard of that. Yeah.
it keeps you very like it tracks your calories. An app don't ever get an Apple Watch. That is very inaccurate. But a Whoop, I'm not
Got you.
saying this is exactly down, but very accurate because I'm tracking my calories every day. I weigh myself every morning and I base it off of this. It's fantastic. It also helps
Got you.
with sleep, which I'm sure would help you out a lot. Uh,
Got you. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Thank you.
what about okay, so I want to list a couple different types of like exercises from a bodybuilder standpoint. I just want to hear your opinion.
Yeah.
So cardio.
Cardio. I'm a big fan of cardio, mostly for health reasons. For bodybuilding reasons, you don't really need to do it. I got shredded last cut doing 15 minutes 3 to 4 times a week on the treadmill, just walking, jogging. So for me, everyone should do it for health reasons. It's super important for your heart and your general health. And it's a tool to help you burn calories, but ultimately you can get just as shredded if you just eat more healthy. So, helpful tool, especially for your health, but not entirely necessary to lose weight.
What about intensity in your workouts? Are you someone that's resting in between sets or are you trying to keep the heart rate up?
I'm definitely resting between sets. My idea is for my goal of bodybuilding, I want to maximize my effort each set. If I rush my set, I'm not going to push with maximum intensity. I'll fail because, my heart was tired or my general body was tired, whatever it is. and therefore I'm not getting as many reps and as much intensity as I could have if I had rested just an extra, 2 more minutes and really hit that chest press with even more intensity. So I'm a big fan of taking your time within reason, taking a good 3, 4, 5 minutes depending on the exercise, and then maximum intensity in each set.
Do you always use progressive overloading?
Yes, I'm always tracking my exercises, and that's something that really helped blow up my progress. For the first few years of lifting, it would just go down to the gym, put whatever weight on you feel like, pump out a million reps, get a crazy pump, do a million sets, whatever you feel like, and just have some fun. And that did give me some progress for sure because it's still intensity, it's still stimulating your muscles. But when I saw real progress was when I dialed in a specific routine and focused on getting stronger
Did
month
you
by
ever
month.
did because when I was really in tune with my physique, and like I still am, but I don't put as much effort towards it now with like lifting and stuff. I was tracking every single workout. I do progressive overload every single week. I gained an insane amount of weight in a very short time because I was going insane in the gym. I was
Mhm.
eating a ton of food. But it almost gets to a point, and this could be a mental barrier. But like with progressive overload, do you ever get to a point where you're like, dude, I can't do anymore? Like
Yeah,
you do.
definitely.
What do you do in that situation?
Yeah, it's important not to get too caught up in progressively overloading every single session
Mhm.
because there will be off days, and especially once you pass newbie gains, like it's really almost impossible to increase by a rep every single time. That's just not going to happen. And like I said, there's off days for whatever reason. You may not get sleep a certain day or for whatever reason. And so while you should try to optimize every single workout and do everything in your power to push with maximum intensity to beat that number. If you don't, it's not something to be super concerned about unless you go several weeks not making any progress. Then there's something to look into. But week by week, if you're pushing with maximum intensity and attempting to get that progressive overload, you should see it gradually go up and not freak out about week by week. More so, instead, look at month by month.
Yeah, that's actually a great point, and I wish I knew that. Dude, I get so caught up in this. I'm like,
Definitely, yeah, I totally get that.
I can't get this up. I'm getting weaker. What's
Yeah,
going on? And it
I
like,
still panic myself. It's hard. It's hard not to.
what's it? Okay, first of all, what do you like better, bulking or cutting?
Definitely bulking. I love eating a lot. I love food. You eat a lot, you lift a lot. Way more fun to me.
Do you ever deal with body dysmorphia though? Because people that have that six pack, especially because you're like, man, I want that six pack. Like I would when I tried to bulk, I'm like, I can't bulk anymore, bro. I'm getting fat. I don't like this. Do you do?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. You definitely deal with body dysmorphia. Definitely look at yourself in the mirror. As much as I love the bulk, I do love looking in the mirror more on the cut. So it can get brutal sometimes. But I've always been more of a long term thinker. And so day by day, I don't really think about that. On the bulk, I'm always thinking long term of I'm building a foundation, I'm building muscle, and I don't allow myself to really let myself go. I think people shouldn't take the bulk far enough that they're like significantly gaining fat to the point that like it's a problem and you can't see abs at all.
Yeah.
I try to stay relatively lean. With that being said, you won't look as good, and you just have to remind yourself of what you're doing it for and think long term.
What goes through your head during a cut at different stages? So like at
Uh huh.
first, we're all motivated, bro, but
Yeah.
the motivation only goes on so far, and then you're like, shit, I need to
Oh,
eat some food. How
absolutely.
do you deal
Yeah.
with that?
It's pretty brutal. It varies drastically. Sometimes I'll have to deal with it using certain nutrition hacks, like drinking carbonated water of a certain brand I like the taste of to get full, or chewing gum to satisfy sweetings cravings, or eating protein bars that taste amazing to me without and fill me up without having many calories, stuff like that. Another thing is sometimes it'll all suck, but then I'll put in, some girl pop music and go to the gym and see my veins popping out of the gym, and it locks me back in where I'm like, okay, this is why I'm doing this. So sometimes it just takes scrolling back to progress pics and seeing where did I look at the beginning of the cut and where did I look like now, and saying, okay, it's working. I'm trusting the process. I love the way I look right now. So it really, I have to use a million different tools, whether that's certain nutrition hacks or listening to music and imagining how good I'm gonna look in the beach in a few months, or scrolling to progress pics. It kind of has to take your pick of motivational tips.
So like I've dealt with cutting a lot, and like
Mhm.
I'm still cutting right now, bro. Like I want to drop the body fat, but I think something with cutting is a lot of times you can really restrict yourself,
Mhm.
and the restriction, while in the moment it's going to make you look fantastic, long term it can really do some damage. Meaning
Mhm.
you're way more likely to binge eat and overeat, and
For sure.
I've done that stuff. And like I'm always curious from a bodybuilder's perspective, like you can't really do that as much as like sometimes you have the urge, you can't do it. So have you ever dealt with that, and like how do you overcome that?
Yeah, I think a lot of people deal with issues like that, and it's super important to take this slow and be smart with it, be healthy with it. Don't try to starve yourself right off the bat or at all. Never try to starve yourself, never try to go too far. Be really smart with it and listen to your body. With that being said, I've talked to friends about that where they ask me like, "Do you ever just have a small piece of cake or one scoop of ice cream?" And my answer is always absolutely not, because
Hmm.
knowing my brain,
Yeah.
that will not stop at one bite. I will binge and I will destroy it until the ice cream container is gone, the cake is gone. So for me, it's just don't even start. Don't even have that one bite. For other people, it's different. They don't have the same addictive personality or all or nothing mentality, and they can have that small slice and it won't hurt them. And for them, good for them. That's great. But for me, to avoid binge eating, which I just can't really afford, I have to just not even have it in my vicinity, not even start, not even give that a look. As in, I'm not saying like I'm trying not to eat cake today. It's literally just, I'm not going to eat cake today. It's not what I do. I'm going to eat my protein. It's what I do. It's not even like who I am to even touch that cake. With that being said, if you are to binge, if you're watching this and you've binged or you binge in the future, don't be too hard on yourself. It happens. It happens to everyone. You know, I've failed many times. It's really just about getting back on it. One bad day out of 365 won't hurt you at all. What will hurt you if you really beat yourself up about it and allow it to take away motivation. But if you get right back on it tomorrow, you'll be totally fine.
Facts. Always get back on the treadmill. And I'm the same way. It's like, don't ask me if I want to bite a cake.
Yeah.
Don't ask me if I want to scoop of ice
No.
cream.
Yeah.
Cause I'm gonna kill that jar like dead
100%.
serious, bro. Like, that thing is done. Is
Exactly. Yeah.
it's very dangerous. All right, so on the topic of food, like you mentioned some sweet tooth cravings. Uh, I think there is, man, especially with older people too. It's like, oh, I can't have carbs. Oh, I can't have rice. Oh, I can't have it's gonna make me be bloated,
Yeah.
fat. But they're eating like fucking Doritos and stuff like that. It's like, no, that's what's making you fat. I don't think a
Yeah.
little bit of rice and a potato is gonna hurt. And I found that too. Like I'm like, oh, I gotta cut out carbs, and that's what led to so much restriction. What are some of the most common foods people think that is gonna make them gain weight that are actually completely fine for them?
That's a good one. One thing I guess demonized a lot is diet soda. People think that's somehow messing up their metabolism or having these crazy health side effects. Yeah, of course, not the healthiest thing ever, but it's 0 calories or essentially 0 calories. It can help satisfy your cravings. It can make you feel more full. So I'm a big fan of diet soda. It's about calories, and there's not calories in diet soda. So that's something that gets demonized in terms of some people say like, oh, you're not losing weight because of some bro science about diet soda being bad. But that's something that I am actually a big fan of. In general, yeah, I agree that carbs get villainized. People villainize fats, they villainize carbs. Carbs and fats are not bad at all by themselves. Carbs are totally necessary. I ate carbs before my workout, eat carbs after my workout. I have healthy fats in avocados and beef and all sorts of things. What it's really about is calories. So the answer is no specific food is really making you fat. It's really about being smart with it and eating it in moderation. And yeah, I think that would be my answer is people try to demonize specific things like fats or carbs or whatever it is. And it's really not that simple. It's more so about your calories, and there's not one food you have to avoid.
I agree 100%. And something that I'm like starting, dude, it's taking me so long, but I'm starting to figure out like I would try to push all my calories off to the end of the day because
Yeah.
I know that's when I'm going to be the hungriest. So I want to be able to eat the most then. The minute I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to eat a full meal when I'm hungry, like the urge to just go crazy at the end, it does slowly dissipate. And
Hmm.
including a carb or an avocado or whatever it is, like you kind of need that full balanced meal.
Absolutely.
It actually works in your favor so much.
Yes.
All right, so we are nearing the end of this conversation, but I know that something you do with content is you also run a business, right? Where people can actually get workout plans
Hmm.
and advice. You want to share anything about that?
Yeah, just something in my bio. It's a link where you can either subscribe to see my bodybuilding programs in exact, format of my notes app each day, or each week, month, whatever it is, as it changes. So I'll be giving, monthly updates. But if you want something more customized and personable than that, you can get a nutrition program or a workout program where you fill out this form that says, that explains what your goals are. So what muscles do you want to focus on? Are you trying, is your primary goal losing fat, gaining muscle, gaining strength? What else do you want to tell me? All these things. For the nutrition program, it'll ask about your weight, your height, your goals. Workout split. How often do you want to work out? How long? What are your goals? All that stuff. And then within a few days, I will send you a program of, here's in general, here's a split you should follow, here's the exercises you should follow based on your goals, with the sets, with the reps, here's what you should be eating. And it of course can be tweaked based on what people like and what people don't, but it's based on my experience and my knowledge of years of lifting, tailored to be best for whatever one person's goals are.
And I think if you're listening, you're like, man, yeah, I kind of do want to get this. Like, first of all, take a look at his Instagram and see the
Yes.
transformation. Like
Thank you.
the results speak for itself. But
I appreciate that.
you guys just listen to an hour of this kid talking, and you know that he has high attention to detail, and you know he has obsessive personality and extremely high standards. This is the type of guy that's going to deliver you the best possible product because that's just in his character. So I
Thank you. I appreciate that. I fully believe in it. Yes.
absolutely, bro. And thank you so much for coming on Gross Potential. This conversation hopefully has inspired a lot of people. It's inspired me. You're crushing it, brother. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. This was a great talk.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody.